Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and I want to thank James Sangali. He wrote this article today, and it gives me a chance to talk about what I love to talk about most, and that's XRP and Ripple. And so, James, yeah, this is interesting. You start off with a title. Sorry, Ripple, XRP is not being used by the banks. We say yes when the bank says no. All right, so you start out with, I remember when Mount Gox imploded. Maybe that was to give us an idea you've been in this space a long time. All right, so 2014. Let's see, what do I remember? I remember that there was a really great World Cup in Brazil with a lot of fun games. And yeah, oh yeah, that was the year that the ice bucket challenge was so popular. Do you remember that? And for me, well, it was the year I got my iPhone 6 Plus. That was, yeah, to date, one of the best gadgets I have ever had. If you had said something like, I remember when Mount Gox imploded and I lost all my Bitcoin, yeah, that would impress me. But yeah, we all have some memories of 2014. Well, you continue with your article here. XRP, a currency designed for the banks. Wait, James, you're going to confuse everybody because XRP is not a currency. If we're going to talk banks, XRP is a digital asset that provides liquidity for banks that want to do cross-border remittances. Okay, so let's not get the wording confused. And it is to cut out costly clearinghouses? No, actually, James, again, if we're going to talk banks, it is to cut out the nostro vostro accounts. That is the supreme value of XRP, because right now, let me just show you this graph, and that might help you understand. When you do cross-border remittances and you don't use XRP, you have to have a banking partner. These are called correspondent banking partners. So here is your European zone bank here. They've got euros and they want to do a transaction, let's say, for example, with a bank in Japan. They have to pre-fund that by parking money in the account with the Japanese bank. And you can imagine, this is a very simple version. Some of the RippleNet partners have 200 correspondent banking partners that are in 50 different countries. Can you imagine the cost of that capital that's sitting to allow that agreement where two different banks using two different currencies have created this network to transact? It's just not needed if you use XRP as a digital asset for that liquidity. And also, let's be clear here in terms of the clearinghouse. You know, they are welcoming these private sector technologies. They improve the market imperfections. They lower the cost, they improve transparency, and of course, it's reliable. So when the clearinghouse interbank payment system, the private clearinghouse in the United States, for example, that settles $1.5 trillion a day, they have a 96% market share, and they're owned by the financial institutions. RippleNet partners like American Express, Standard Chartered Bank, and BNY Mellon, they love DLT. They welcome this technology, and they are clearinghouse members that want to see this whole system be improved. All right, let's go back to see what you have to say in addition. You got your first-hand education on the problem Ripple was trying to solve when you joined the largest bank in Australia as a blockchain developer. Okay, let's really clear that up. You were a contracted worker that was dispatched out on a gig for a year and a half. The company DXC, which I really do know well, they take advantage of people who can't get good jobs, and they dispatch them out at very low wages. They had you working as a contract worker for the Commonwealth Bank of Australia. I'm sorry to hear that, because I do know that DXE is, paying only on average $65,000 a year for those software developers. And if you look at the blockchain developer salaries in the United States, whether you're a full stack developer, an engineer, a JavaScript developer, down to just a senior developer, those salaries are all in the $100,000 range. And really, in the last few months, it has gone to about $132,000. And if you have experience, which maybe now you do, you can get in the upwards of about $174,000 a year. So I'm sorry that you had that experience, but you felt as though you woke up to the reality and realized that your job as a blockchain expert, so I see now you're an expert, this was your first blockchain job too, by the way. So you were an expert, quite quick here. You were nothing more than a PR stunt to convince the investors that the bank was always exploring new technologies. Yeah, okay. And the bank would loudly proclaim that they were pro-blockchain, investing millions. Whoa, well, I think at the time you were with the bank, Mr. David Whiting was the CIO. He's a big blockchain guy. He saw a huge potential for blockchain tech. He has since gone on to Standard Chartered, but at the time in 2016, he did a lot of experiments. Yeah, I think 25 experiments involving blockchain, and it included using Ripple to settle transfers between the group subsidiaries. I think he learned a lot. And on August 7th, just a couple of weeks ago, not even a couple of weeks, just a few days ago, Commonwealth Bank of Australia has stepped up their investment in technology. They have put aside $5 billion in a digital war chest. I don't think this is the kind of money you park away for some PR stunt. I think they are dead serious in this space. All right. Well, you believe that XRP is not being used by the banks. You're looking very silly here, James, because I'm sorry to say that they are. But you try to point that XRP is a public blockchain and that the last thing that the bank wants to do is reveal its trades to competing firms. And you point to the ledger for that fact. Oh, gosh. I don't think you really understand how XCurrent works, because while it uses cryptography, each party using the system does not have access to a shared ledger, as in the case with distributed ledgers like Ethereum or Hyperledger Fabric. And if I come down here, you can see that XCurrent is an immutable interledger protocol, which Ripple says improves on existing payment networks because it offers instant settlement. Now, this is the quote from David, and David knows. What we hear from many of our customers is that it's imperative to keep their transactions private, process thousands every second, and accommodate every type of currency and asset imaginable. Ripple's approach is what has enabled it to move beyond tests with banks. So I truly now see you don't understand Ripple and you don't understand XRP. So let's not confuse everybody when you write these articles. And just a reminder, the new version of XCurrent can access XRP. Well, okay, so the fact that XRP had a native currency, I think you want to say the fact that Ripple has a digital asset XRP. Yeah, okay, so XRP is open to speculators. Yes, it is. And it has increased the bank's reluctance, as this meant that their cost structure could be at the mercy of market swings. Well, obviously now, for sure, I'm positive you don't understand. XRP settles in seconds, 3 to 5 seconds. when you do a cross-border remittance in a traditional way, not using XRP as a bridge currency or a liquidity tool, you are open to the risk and volatility of fiat that moves not over minutes or hours, but in days. And so the FX risk that are exposed to the banks is not even comparable to the swing that may occur on XRP in a matter of seconds. Okay, so please, please do your homework. Instead, our bank, so now you are part of the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, our bank decided projects like R3 Corda. R3's Corda. Yeah, I like R3. I like Corda, especially like the Corda Settler. If you are familiar with Corda Settler, it uses XRP. And should Swift use this in their new trial? I'm not sure. We don't know that for a fact, but one thing is for sure. The fact is XRP is a beautiful tool on the Corda Settler. Here you can see how it works. Here you settle the obligation and you can get the exchange rate. This is just showing you the flow on Corda Settler with the use of the XRP. Here you distribute XRP denominated obligation. That is, a company A obtains the signature from the notary cluster and then distributes the updated obligation to company B. Here you have the additional settlement terms. This is such as the address to which the XRP payment should be sent. And then you can initiate the payment, and that is going to create the signed XRP transaction that is forwarded this on the XRP network. And all this happens from the company B's own node. And for that confirmation, the transaction ID and the distribution of it goes from company A to the settlement oracle. And here you can see it settles the obligation. So the settlement oracle queries the XRP network for the status of transactions with the specified transaction ID. Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. So I love Corda Settler and I love R3. And should the banks be able to utilize this, I'm sure they will love it too. All right, I'm going to just continue to the end here. It's painful, but I'm going to continue. XRP is not being used. Oh, silly you, James. It's just silly, silly, silly. You don't think XRP is in production? Did you not pay attention to the MoneyGram announcement? Let me show you some liquidity of XRP being used. This is the current Bitso liquidity of XRP that is being utilized for that corridor in Mexico, which is live, and it is just getting off the charts. This is as of September 13th, 2019. It just keeps climbing. So I'm sorry to say, but it is in production and it is being used. And I want to point something else out that I found just today. Granted, the full Ripple solution, read this with me, may not be Sharia compliant, and the Islamic banks do not use the crypto assets component of Ripple XRP. Rather, they use only the P2P connectivity component XCurrent, which is Sharia compliant for their own specific use cases. Now, here is the most important sentence. The Saudi Authority Monetary Authority, SAMA, is currently working on preparing a comprehensive regulatory framework for crypto assets to facilitate its development in the Saudi market. Now, the reason why I point that out is because there are a lot of people who are in that same position all over the world. That is the regulatory clarity, and it's coming. It is coming. It has already come in some regions of the world, especially here in Asia, but it is coming to other areas quickly. So the cost model, if you have never played with this, you can see exactly based on how many transactions you do annually and what those transaction values are, you can see how much Ripple can save the bank. And I'm telling you that if banks are in a position that are going down the road of competing on a level playing field, the use of XRP is going to be even more important, because going head to head with all the people who are in this space is going to require every tool necessary. So I'm going to put a link to this Ripple cost matrix, which is really fun to play with. If you've not seen it before, you can slide across many factors to determine. Here is even the liquidity and counterparty fees that you can play with, and you can see exactly how much Ripple can save the banks. Oh boy, it just never ceases to amaze me. SBI R3 has a really great partnership, and if you have watched any of my videos, I put one out there just 2 weeks ago where Mr. Kitao is quoted as saying on many of occasions here that he wants Ripple to merge or to fuse their talent using XRP and R3 together. So this is all about synergy, and this synergy is going to happen. All right, everybody. Yeah, I think we need to tell James here that he should just stay with his evangelist work in Alpha Wallet, and I wish you lots of luck. But please, when you write about Ripple and XRP, you do need to be sure that you do your homework. All right, everybody, I am jumping to the fluff. So this is a holiday weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. Tomorrow is the Respect for Aged Day, and it's called Keiro no Hi. It's a national holiday, and it started in 1963, and it is meant to celebrate people who are reaching, well, it's been pushed more and more into the age. When it first started, I didn't even want to tell you what the original age was that people were celebrating this. But now it has become a big day for people who turn 100. And for those people who do turn 100, they receive a beautiful silver sake cup. This actually started in, when did it start? Yeah, in 1963. And just at that time, there were only 153 seniors that received the sterling silver sake cup. 50 years later, that number skyrocketed to 19,769. And I think this year they expect over 70,000 people have reached their centenarian birth date, which is an age over 100. Originally, these cups, when they were sterling silver, they were $70 each to make. They are now trying to control the cost. They have shrunk the diameter down from 10.5 centimeters to 9 centimeters, and the current cups are just silver plated, bringing that price down to just $35. And I found it kind of sad. This is Mercari. Mercari is like the eBay of Japan. People are selling their cups on Mercari. I don't know, just something seems wrong about this. But if you want to get one of those cups that were issued by the government, well, they are for sale, and the price range is quite, a broad range of pricing. Yeah, anywhere from low side of just $12 up to what's the most expensive one here? Looks like the most expensive one is about $200. Anyway, so if you live in the United States, you might be lucky if you're turning 100 to get a letter from the president. But here in Japan, you're going to get a sake cup. And Rakuten did a very interesting survey this year. They took the chance to see what do the people who are being respected during this holiday, what do they want to do? How do they want to celebrate? Well, 70% said they want to celebrate. The number one thing they wanted to have were flowers. That's interesting. The second thing were sweets. And the third thing was to have time together. So it just reminds me that no matter where you are in the world, if you have time tomorrow to spend with somebody who is elderly, this would be a good time of year to do it. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.